You are imagining things. You are imagining things. You are imagining things. You are imagining things. What is this blended and rich music?
Rising.
All locations on this recording will be in British Columbia unless otherwise stated. No pun intended.
Hello. 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 Hello.
If you like snow and sleigh bells ringing and the sound of children singing, come, enjoy a Russian adventure.
Ukrainian actually, but lines of lineage aside, consider this an introduction into sauerkraut homeostasis.
Hello.
Beer, stogies, borscht and pierogies, fast times like Ridgemont, Suedos, Spagolis, rappers are poultry, ready for roasting. I got it covered like my job was upholstering, threading lines through points of an English, immaculate tapestry, nonsense in English, trying to keep the funds out of tax and greasy fingers, so I always got a racket going like Martina Hingis. All you dimwits should turn up the wattage, or my limericks will burn you like sausage. Crowds start grinding, the dogs in heat, while MCs start drama like Dawson Creek. But most ends squashed up Boston cream. Sound nuts, no guess, just drop and flee like insects on house pets in hot degrees. But they wouldn't know beef if they flossed the teeth. Ugly, dirty, drunk and swerving, always on the route for an unnerving serving. Everybody knows that my flows are disturbing. When I throw punchlines, I pull jerseys under your skin like a wood tech turning, burrowing deep in your scalp with a sting. When I throw punchlines, I pull jerseys and swing. A spastic geyser just crashed the cipher, blowing up the underground like blasting divers. But even Degrassi higher than Joey Jeremiah and his piece of shit jalopy kids still sound sloppy. My tongue clips Mach 3 disposable razors that slip aims and speed faster than portable pages. Signals are sent from the point I start hopping on stages, and I ain't getting off without barnacle scrapers. Jaws drop in amazement like declining shark populations by a mnemonic, erotically nautical rapist. Just an example of how my product is stainless, tempered, heinous, ventured, temperamental sadist. Where your dog's at now? In a gay kennel. So many punchlines, their faces look like Jay Leno. I spit snake venom, straight catapult vipers, and fill more seats in shows than adult diapers. Ugly, dirty, drunk and swerving, always on the route for an unnerving serving. Everybody knows that my flows are disturbing. When I throw punchlines, I pull jerseys under your skin like a wood tech turning, burrowing deep in your scalp with a sting. When I throw punchlines, I pull jerseys and swing. And sometimes it's like marbles rolling out of my mouth all over the floor because I'm trying to work some double met into a freestyle, and my tongue is still, a line back, and my brain's half a tempo ahead. And you start dripping on that blunt you smoke, right? And then you're looking for that water bottle because you can feel it in the back of your throat. It starts to well up. It's like hellbound and hostile, spellbound and gospel. Rush to the hospital like Robert Downey Jr.'s nostrils. Anything's possible, but rarely profitable, unless you grab on the horns and just hop on the ball. But what am I talking about? It doesn't matter, yo. Cause either way, the way to hold will snap your clavicle. I'll throw a barbecue and swallow baguettes just to run up to the liquor store and crack a case of Tourette's. Impervious to nervousness, you're just a serviette. They couldn't buy props if they auctioned off a movie set. Cats going platinum off the Casios and booty sweat. But it's all just propaganda like the Cuban threat. So put your crew to bed and start counting sheep. I'll terrorize your dreamscape, cutting pounds of fleece. The crowned elite circuit serving clown defeat. You disappear, my career just quantum leaps. Ugly, dirty, drunk and swerving. Always on the route for an unnerving serving. Everybody knows that my flows are disturbing. When I throw punchlines, I pull jerseys under your skin like a wood tech turning, burrowing deep in your scalp with a sting. When I throw punchlines, I pull jerseys. I pull jerseys and swing. Born in a manger full of rat-infested anthrax, on a morbid arrangement of mallet boards and ankle traps. It's now responsible for amputees and rancid raps and an entire recalled shipment of Oscar Mayer sample packs. The first prophecies of my birth preceded a famine. I was the 13th commandment that fractured a stone tablet, thus banned from the Bible to silence the planned arrival, only to wait 2,000 years later inside an abandoned silo. The last thing I remember was a curse of violent harlots that cast me to a deep coma, blinded by narcotics. My eyes told my mouth to quit puffing on hydro, so my mouth told my hand to poke both of my eyes out. Now equipped with power to spit fire and summon drumming, yet still young enough to master my first second coming. Beyond personal borders, I serve an importance. Verbal forces never heard of before, this like virgin abortions. Feel the wind funneling, ground strike rumbling, sound waves tunneling, prepare for the bludgeoning. Smudgeoning ink spots won't stop the humming. Tyrannosaurus Chex, the first second coming. Feel the wind funneling, ground strike rumbling, sound waves tunneling, prepare for the bludgeoning. Smudgeoning ink spots won't stop the humming. Tyrannosaurus Chex, the first second coming. I don't need satanic assistance to cripple listeners. I'll twist your mind through in 3 12-sided trick die triple sixes through laws of probability and added assumptions. Whether you live in a mansion house, cardboard box, or trapped in a dungeon, if there's whackness among us, I'm smacking it tongueless. Cremate my body, drop the ash in its lungs, and attack as a fungus. Show a lack of emotion, your motion tragical dunces that leave close to tears blamed on chopping casserole onions. Stopping heartbeats like raw lard. Double the bacon, pull your face in, and make you eat your own brains through mummification. Nothing to play with. The principal took down my mood swings, cause come fall kids slip and snap reps on loose leaf. Forget breaking it down if you're rapping inferior. I got ear hairs that make scratched wax back to bacteria. We can fight with hot pokers in a 3-way banter. I'll straight flush your Full House and your DJ Tanner. Feel the wind funneling, ground strike rumbling, sound waves tunneling, prepare for the bludgeoning. Smudgeoning ink spots won't stop the humming. Tyrannosaurus Chex, the first second coming. Feel the wind funneling, ground strike rumbling, sound waves tunneling, prepare for the bludgeoning. Smudgeoning ink spots won't stop the humming. Tyrannosaurus Chex, the first second coming. This crafted passion was spawned in dyslexic masses, where I learned to pull magical hats out of rabbits' asses. I buried my emotions to stop the nonsense, till a family of mental moles tunneled through my subconscious, released the gases in a cloud of haunted laughter that rained on the persona of my alias, a raptor. Tyrannosaurus Chex, the beast is soon to be extinct, collapsing minds with chloroform and prehistoric ink, but not the missing link for you Darwinian apostles that was lost inside a cipher of Babylonian fossils. My lyricism branches out like rooted clones in Rockwool and spreads faster than STDs inside of brothels. Now I found a whack mongrel, so I harbor hate. Guard the open mic with the Mongolian garden spade. If it's off to altercate, no choice but operate. Then erase all involvement like Nixon should have Watergate. Feel the wind funneling, ground strike rumbling, sound waves tunneling, prepare for the bludgeoning. Smudgeoning ink spots won't stop the humming. Tyrannosaurus Chex, the first second coming. Feel the wind funneling, ground strike rumbling, sound waves tunneling, prepare for the bludgeoning. Smudgeoning ink goes down to smithereens. Don't spill your beans so simply, cause it ain't worth a hill of beans. How can I spit so raw when my brain's so good? Flip side of reality, my kind of analogy. High time for a Halloween prank. No mental balance beam, temperamental trampoline ties up your family like Alex the Mallory. Flow, assault and battery, no fault, my flattery. At the coroner's track meet, pole vaulting anatomy. Pass the baton, battering ram, hands of fire. Got an ample supplier, mix it up like jambalaya. Drop from the source, releasing with lethal force. Breathing new meter bars like obesity and chords. Ocular kebab you with my optical swords, and knock you down like blockers in an obstacle course. Navigate nimbly with underground anonymity. Infinity infinity, infinitely to my affinity for finishing. Finicky folds down to smithereens. Don't spill your beans so simply, cause it ain't worth a hill of beans. How can I spit so raw with my brain so cooked? You're out of your league. How do I spit so raw with my brain so cooked? Get out of my head. How can I spit so raw with my brain so cooked? You're out of your league. How do I spit so raw with my brain so cooked? Get out of my head. Grab a jabber, pop a cava, drop a dagger down my throat and spit on point. I'm cracking jokes like Fozzie Bear, waka waka waka. That's when my doctor said, get off the ganja. Within a form of influenza, my attention beckons through. Ductwork of dendrites to vent out in aggression. With phlegm in my hanger like a lemon meringue. Colored missile at an angle, doppelganger, double ripple. Corn porn, copping a fornicator, dropping to score you later. I'm stopping to store the data, breaking a laser fader to overexpose ya. A morbid immortal, composed of ambrosia. Regain composure, just cap the cornucopia. Only ornery because they swore the door would open up. Am I dope enough for out of your scope of fluff? You get burned by the lines, rubbing rope is rough. How can I spit so raw with my brain so cooked? You're out of your league. How do I spit so raw with my brain so cooked? Get out of my head. How can I spit so raw with my brain so cooked? You're out of your league. How do I spit so raw with my brain so cooked? Get out of my head.
I still think I should notify the radio and television.
No. If you do that, they'll see him in every street corner. They'll look for him in every house. Just tell your men to keep their mouths shut and their eyes open.
Seems to me you're just plain scared.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
What do we do?
What do you think?
This is some spooky shit we got here. What happened to me?
What's the boogeyman?
I think there's no such thing.
Seems to me you're just plain scared.
What the fuck is your name?
From the echoes in the caverns of the labyrinth, I reverberate erratic. Audio anarchist. The abyss of anti-pop, anti-pasto. Anti-hostile, progressive gospel, progressive lost, well you should be. But minus a compass, it aligns your circumference. Might grip of a dungeness crab. I'm a cancer of lumpless in a stance of assumptions. If you chance as it comes, you catch a lance through your lung flesh. From a land of untouchables, I broadcast combustibles, current with bandwidth. I'm clutching skulls, my apple's bobbing. You have to bite to get this, exposing fraudulence on you hermaphrodite gymnast. Amputees attempting verbal acrobatic feats limbless. I'm glad you keep it real, but you're not keeping my interest. Spitting syntax is an instant reflex for me. My behavior is similar to Lee Majors in that I stuntman on stages, speaking blunt without papers. A verbal endurance of acres assisted by herbal vapors inside of my neural matrix.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that.
This isn't a man.
People say I'm not normal. Evil. I'm hearing rumors that I got problems. I'm off my rocker in stitches. I got it locked, but the lock is off its hinges. A few bricks short of a chimney. I'm 2 kicks short of a permanent injury. I'm 3 trips short of an indefinite hallucinating entity. Cursed from birth for 49 dreaded years. Like I dropped out of the womb and smashed 7 mirrors. In a fog that never clears, spitting death rhymes on separate gears. With bullet wounds of embedded fears. Shot from session spots and intersections. Where criticism met envy empty in all directions. Lost for questions, I'm like Charlton Heston. Stockpiling weapons and metaphoric essence. Is destiny calling me? Well, I surpassed the colony of whack MCs who sport the Roman wreath of olive trees, symbolizing victory minus apologies. I cast my storm warning from here to the Baltic Seas. But when it rains, you shower shattered dreams. These kids want splattered screens of their own image. Reflected, I'm respected at the rate my data streams. I ran the gauntlet of nonsense in a reconnaissance across the continent and stood in astonishment long enough to realize the real surprise in competent delivery is constant reinvention of soliloquy for real MCs. People say I'm not normal. Evil. I'm hearing rumors that I got problems. I'm off my rocker in stitches. I got it locked, but the lock is off its hinges. A few bricks short of a chimney. I'm 2 kicks short of a permanent injury. I'm 3 trips short of an indefinite hallucinating entity.
Sonic waves combined and burn his brainwaves.
Smell the carry-on, stuffed into my carry-on while I go off like Jim Carrey carrying on. Crawling up your sinuses to bury a bomb so you can sneeze me up your lineage to marry your mom. Then I'll sell your existence to midgets and leave her for a Bavarian blonde. Sink whatever ferry you're on. In the oceans of my fantasies, I've never seen a barrier MC. pants. So forget a belt, no restraints. Just cuts and leather welts, never healing. From peeling back the layers of dead players congealing like bangles and Fiji. I strangled the Ouija's, drank from the forces of sources that couldn't see me in 3D but sense me within 4 feet of my presence. When my mind drops to infinity, I'm 4 feet from the precipice of egg, mentally desolate, yet intensely overpopulated with greatness, circling within the platelets of ghosts that can't shake shift.
It's been a pleasure.
People say I'm not normal. Evil. I'm hearing rumors that I got problems. I'm off my rocker in stitches. I got it locked, but the lock is off its hinges. A few bricks short of a chimney. I'm 2 kicks short of a permanent injury. I'm 3 trips short of an indefinite hallucinating entity.
Sonic waves combined and burn his brainwaves.
Between heaven and earth again.
Blood sputter, smothered in lung butter. Bump this like a bad case of something or other. In comforting color, I uncover in slumber. Cloak psychosis in an aneurysm, rumbling rupture, yet never accustomed. I can't be predicted. Tales of dead mystics speak of my existence. Awaken a lair from a bolt to jail. I unfold the tale of the holy grail. Engraved verses, grave verses, first told in braille. Unveil my metamorphosis. Release of pale horses from the unstable stable of thoughts with no remorses. Behold the fortress, guided by night locusts. Drowning in the moat, no hope, you fight floatless. I float flightless, hovering in bold syntax. Forging through the fog above the cold and black.
Cast out into madness, we are damned. You see us, my boy, we are demons. Cast out into madness, we are damned. You see us, my boy, we are demons. Cast out into madness, we are damned. You see us, my boy, we are demons. These are from hell, these beings. Malignant demons created out of men.
The fangs are not a costume.
Vendetta.
Passionate yet hostile.
Vendetta.
The craven Nosferatu.
Vendetta.
To feast upon the lost ones.
Vendetta.
The fangs are not a costume.
Vendetta.
Passionate yet hostile.
Vendetta.
The craven Nosferatu.
Vendetta. Arm yourself well.
Second release, split section the beast. The demon's foul feast, infection of yeast. I confess to the priest in the upside down chapel, then sent to the freaks that bow to the dark master. Cast of art marble, covered in live larva. Wondrous heart marvels this mosaic art article. Resist a small particle, a starving parched artisan. Harboring thought carnage, but visibly non-partisan. I wanted no part of it. Now I slay martyred men and sip a sick brew of blood and hot marzipan. Visualizing torment. It's hard to show how hard it's been to sip the hemoglobin of life and leave the carcass skin the mark of sin. Indelible sacrifice, born in God's graces, cast to hell's afterlife, existing on earth without physical death, and ritual to hunt, man, kill and confess.
Cast out into madness, we are damned. You see us, my boy, we are demons. Cast out into madness, we are damned.
I can't control it.
Arm yourself well. Cast out into madness, we are damned. You see us, my boy, we are demons. Cast out into madness, we are damned. To madness all of your days.
I pick up my cape, click the nape of the cloak. As daylight ascends, landscape turns to taupe. Our masses now huddle, carving stakes out of oak. They're praying for
Vendetta
all my blatant assaults. Payment in full for unfavored occults. In the name of the Pope, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. The motive of betrayal, omen of the fallen angel. Hatred, coven of the faithful, blessed by the call of Gabriel. I enter the room, at death of the moon. Coffins are myths, we hang in a tomb. In garments of velour, shining woven maroon. One last caress at the night of our doom. They ransack the vault and silently stalk this murderous mob in the name of the cross. Cast my last fate to the judgment of God, with a sword through the neck and a stake through the heart.
Vendetta.
The fangs are not a costume.
Vendetta.
Passionate yet hostile.
Vendetta.
The craven Nosferatu.
Vendetta.
To feast upon the lost ones.
Vendetta.
The fangs are not a costume.
Vendetta.
Passionate yet hostile.
Vendetta.
The craven Nosferatu.
Vendetta. 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 Vendetta.
like kicking your cochlea. Banging out your eardrums to ripple the octave scale. Tyrannosaurus Chex, but it's only a cognomen. They drop carbon dioxide and got props some oxygen. MCs are just skin and bone, like Calista Flockhart men. Meet me in the alley, make believe I'll box you in. Amazonian frog style, lethal tongue and toxic skin, lost in sin. Down rock gin, dropped in spin. I transfer into prophecy like Christopher Walken. Sent to bliss the Walkman, spitting mystical doctrine. More than a feeling in Boston, I'm breathing in backwards. This verse is on gunpoint, releasing a hostage. Season the cosmos, inconceivably dry flows. The G-force of one could start bleeding in nostrils. Born of a carbon form, believing as hot coals. Steaming off of marijuana as much as the pot holds. I came to awaken ya. Rip the lungs out of your trachea. Replace your brain with a naked array of thoughts I conceived in less than a day. And it'll probably take a few minutes to adjust to the new tenants. I ran into the top part of your brain for 2 minutes. I do limericks quite well, so screw critics, cause they whine more than senior citizens sitting in flu clinics. It all starts inside of a drunken car ride, unbuckle chuckling. Honeysuckling, she's working a stick shift. I'm thinking of beaver, sipping liquor with leaders while eating chicken fajitas. Wrapped in an olive St. Peter, I'm trying to roll the sativa, and it's getting cold. Amps to thump in the trunk.
Let the music play. Let the music play. Let the music play. Let the music play.
Type C. This is complicated. Knowledge. This is complicated. Knowledge. This is complicated. Knowledge. Pumping through the stereo.
The drumming is a familiar sound in the spring and early summer of the male ruffed grouse. We heard most in the Slocan Valley.
It all starts inside of a drunken car ride, unbuckle chuckling. Honeysuckling, she's working a stick shift. I'm thinking of beaver, sipping liquor with leaders while eating chicken fajitas. Wrapped in an olive St. Peter, I'm trying to roll the sativa, and it's getting cold as hell cause there's a hole in my heater. Making money like a hacksaw, cutting down meters. Everything is small change till I answer my beeper. Then it's hands on the creeper, move product to seeker. Yeah, catch the match for a sample critica. Or stuff a half ounce in a Toyota Celica. Overestimate till it's the size of my femur, and that's a big bone if you don't know biology. Canadian economy leans towards botany, manhandling mothers to manipulate monopoly. So you has to have a reason if you're stepping on the property. This ain't a song about how I made $1 million. I'm just chillin', living up near brilliant. Keeping it real, hitting skins like a zillion. Making necks bounce like a Wilson. This ain't a song about how I made $1 million. I'm just chillin', living up near brilliant. Keeping it real, hitting skins like a zillion. Making necks bounce like a Wilson. I got my hook pulled up. 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 Look at my hook pulled up. The newest hit. I'm with Zeus now, smoking up on Icarus. Ain't coming down like I ran out of pixie dust. Half blunted, drinking moonshine in Dixie cups. Looking a fix for some kid who just missed the bus. I got a disc for sale too, should I toss it in? Hell yeah, how much you want? Well, I want like 10. Plus a fin if you gon' flip me for that doja, which brings the full tally up to 15, kosher. And don't stress it if police pull you over. Just say you bought the pop from your doc and you got glaucoma. And if you're cornered, run like bulls in Barcelona, cause they ain't got a chance sweating booze and chocolate donuts. I'm pumping stereos built from hot components, but now I gotta fly like I'm late for an appointment. Ran the red light, prayed for no cops. Thank God for pot and glad for Ziplocs. This ain't a song about how I made $1 million. I'm just chillin', living up near brilliant. Keeping it real, hitting skins like a zillion. Making necks bounce like a Wilson. This ain't a song about how I made $1 million.
death. It is a vision of every human being bursting with fire and mystery. A vision I cannot deny, nor blot out, nor even turn away from, nor escape.
Vivid sick, like licking meat carvers while watching naked flicks of Delta Burke on B. Arthur. Walking on a Berber, woven a dead barber, clippings from old garbage, sitting in dock barges, dressed like Keith Partridge in a Clydesdale harness. Waiting to get rich, then more whips than Spartacus. The carcass is out of my carcass, it's starting to smell. But nothing worse than a chalupa when scarfing the bell and barfing like hell. We're Satan with a stomach flu. I'm on stage in close range with model glue. The kind of buzz that makes cousins of all of you. Substituting prophylactic grease with Selsun Blue at a family reunion in your uncle's Winnebago. I'm higher than Himalayans, hang gliding tornadoes. Face carving and maples like spit syrup and staples that stick your style's Dale. Bitch Skittles and rainbows.
Have I not rendered a conflict so full of torment that something looms here which is full of brilliance and color? I could stand find a sin and eat it with a flick of my tongue as I suck the blood from lazy lying merchants.
You wanna jock my style? Shove it, thou shalt not covet. That's why bitch MC's all stare like jealous husbands. Looking at the mic, wondering if they should touch it once I got your throat lumping like your mom's chicken dumplings. Shut up like humble nuns. I rap like Humber buns and leave the set a lump of scum. Stain from bludgeon gums and pungent odor, tripping like a drugged soldier. Go Mac girls and get drunk, I'll be out back clubbing gophers. Show up next Christmas on your porch half frozen in a speed skating suit woven from elephant colon. Selling encyclopedias and gift baskets of Folgers with a calendar of circa 91 professional bowlers. Streaming thoughts so spacey, a live float facing up in a life jacket, screaming boat safety. I'm the hermit merman at the bottom, playing with kelp in a treasure chest with a genie impersonating myself.
But from the hollow mouth of darkness beyond the opening, there came only a low, mocking laughter, surrounding me and pouring forth into the nave to echo off the satiny marble with perfect modulation to the place where I stood, staring, rapt.
My mouth full of death. Bad breath with a mouthful of mockingbirds at war in a room with translucent leprechauns. Don't press your luck just to get the button stuck down. Wind, lung, skinned inside out. Ew. My hip-hop's a shuffle of feet on hot coals, but 11 ain't lucky when you're counting up your toes. Hanging with unknowns, dueling banjos at a deafening speed. See how fast my van goes and span globes like ozone through all known zones. Politicians and genetically grown clones. My eminent rise to leverage won't be postponed, or I'm breaking both bones like stones for unpaid loans. Obviously, not the type to be encouraged. It's over like Wilfred Brimley in an empty bowl of porridge. I'm ripping it bad boy style, jacking off the chorus. Black Rob didn't start, whoa, that was Joey Lawrence.
Look at my story and tell me that it gives you nothing. I won't believe you.
Cat's out of the bag, his bat's out of the belfry. A red-handed excuse of alibi and valid lies. Phallic symbols fly the skies, thick and musty, and touch me in ways unknown, bestowed justly. A friend once said MCs are naive, and I agree. Read between the lines of blood from the heart of my sleeve. Arriving in a sneeze, exit in a gasp that could not show your duration like dead skin in a cast. No nails to scratch, I spit coat hangers with sharp hooks to catch the chorus back. Anything in the path gets perforated porous. Anyone with talent gets ignored, it leaves a wordless. Dip platinum and styrofoam, get famous. Learn Latin and try to roam, no playlist. My doctorate has no patience for thughead clones, so I arrive with the appetite of Jughead Jones and Paul. All you fortune tellers need to get back in the closet. The thing you thought once wasn't is making a deposit. Toxic yarn cursive, conducted via Cosmos, straight from my psychosis and prognoses. All you fortune tellers need to get back in the closet. The thing you thought once wasn't is making a deposit. Toxic yarn cursive, conducted via Cosmos, straight from my psychosis and prognoses. As contemporary conscious flatlines to endlessness, it proves the world will never be my arch nemesis. View my cursive penmanship, submerse and reminisce. Scuba mask, snorkel air, breathe and stare. Typical rhythms and mystical prisms of shine. I enter ciphers disguised as a Trojan porcupine. Each quill becomes a poison vine, intertwined vintage fine oracle that lives to rhyme. Sometimes my gift doesn't like me and backlashes. Inner demons can be feisty and act fascist. Blame it on the night, blame it on the DJ. But I'm the one who grabs the mic and jaywalk through the freeway. Forget everything, I quit hitting sales pitches. Leave the crowd in stitches, binding flesh seems of physics again. Cynicism is my savior, inner visage to toss the rigid vision beyond the given limits. All you fortune tellers need to get back in the closet. The thing you thought once wasn't is making a deposit. Toxic yawn cursive, conducted via cosmos, straight from my psychosis and prognoses. All you fortune tellers need to get back in the closet. The thing you thought once wasn't is making a deposit. Toxic yawn cursive, conducted via cosmos, straight from my psychosis and prognoses.
The human mind possesses vast and totally unexplored resources of psychic energy. If the full force of this psychic energy is mastered, it can turn the human mind into the deadliest weapon in the universe.
Discovering the properties of prophecies and flurries. From the land of the ice and snow where the bison roamed, chilling to the marrow, just short of splicing bone. Watch it chip off the block, lop off your noggin, with augmented rock dented jagged edge toboggans. Gargle in the marvel of drool and hemoglobin while I scan hidden barcodes inside a spoken promise. The sky turns jaundice, pale in Pearl Harbor. You can sense my approach in joints of old farmers. Trick knees arrive like gypsies with arthritis. Neither can be trusted if they show up uninvited. Colors turn like deciduous leaves and voices. Tie-dyed quotes in a vigil of teas and ointments. I seize them seas as embryos in wombs of focus. Control the zygote stages through chromosonal hypnosis. Evolution of nature, the graphic infestation of gamma radiation, a hybrid pixel, relative to placement, impossible to trace it, a prodigy of aphids, computer bugs that nest in your host frame, developed in advanced weaponry with no brain, soaking through the sockets of eyes in slow strain to set invisible threads, transfix the ghost chains, feeding off your helix, encoded in a prefix, deception of immunity, unreachable regions, molecular betrayal, survival of the species, Judas did it to Jesus, Brutus did it to Caesar, and piracy of secrets, rerouted through Egypt, within a split second, matching numbers to your visa, 10 more seconds and they're hacking through the ceases, through untrackable signals and anonymous allegiance. They're probably listening right now, it may or may not be the truth, so be careful, as we stand at the brink of the hallucinage, we may or may not be the root, everywhere you turn, as we stand at the brink of the hallucinage, but where does the illusion end? Ever wonder if the toil of the cutler is simply just a slave to the hunter of the butler? Serving a master, bigger than Big Brother, one stop bereaved, conceived in star clusters, the hidden truth of voluminescent glow, fenced off within certain regions of New Mexico. Physical myths apparently contradict when they'll admit that it sits, but deny that it exists. Ignorance is bliss, spreading as a cyst through the fog and the mist, in the bog of the abyss, from the problems that persisted since the dawn of the scripts. We're locked in the walls and the halls of the Sphinx. It's the clink and the falls and the drips of the pipe that echoes to the fear and the bass of the fright, when they tell you that it's not, but you know what you hear when you go against the grain in the frame of the mirror. Open your ears and close your eyes. It may or may not be the truth, 'cause whether or not you realize it, as we stand at the brink of the hallucinage, we may or may not be the root. You're surrounded by it, as we stand at the brink of the hallucinage, but where does the illusion end? Vapor lies up, we raise idiots, victims of imbecile cumulonimbus, lost in clouds, somewhere below actual. Passive controls equals casketfuls of basket cases. Voice of the youth, or baby boomer aftershock. The laughing stock ain't laughing on the chopping block, watching your brethren shed by the leatherman. Stainless steel, painless seal, pleasure tent. 7 cents never spent represents luck of the draw. But who's the winner and who's the cheater? The dealer is the watcher of the player and the reader. The kneeler is the bleeder of the blood and the believer. The saber is the fever, the sickness in the media, the virus in your iris from the violence vilest of amoeba. A premature society of television teeters, where every new teacher is a brand new feature. Stay tuned. The more you watch, the more they watch you. It may or may not be the truth. The more you see, the more they see you. As we stand at the brink of the hallucinage, we may or may not be the root. The more you hear, the more they hear you. As we stand at the brink of the hallucinage, but where does the illusion end?
If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense. Nothing would be what it is, because everything would be what it isn't. And contrariwise, what it is, it wouldn't be. And what it wouldn't be, it would. You see? Ow.
Getting high. Getting high.
I'm looking for a white rabbit.
I hear a little story about rabbits. These little furry creatures that hang out in little areas and portals in time, and you can pet them, and they're so soft. You just want to take them home and make them your pet and feed them grass and carrots because they're so friendly.
Welcome to the wormhole, tale of the burnt scroll, straight through the trap door. Slide down the fern pole, land of arrangement, sporific forest. Eat from the floor and engorge in the gorgeous. Life in the flesh in the mesh of reflection. Eyes in the back of the eyes of the specimen. Guess who's loopy? Acting kabuki, escaping on David Suzuki. The nature of things still swings on a blue tree. So I grew wings to the top of the roosting. Half in a stupor, puffin' haluka. Straight off the dome on the roof with the fiddler. Too much funk in the traffic will kill you. So watch for the whiff underneath Bette Midler. I'm just a swindler, burnt to a cinder. Left to an earned dirt by Brian Minter. Time to administer over percussion. This can't be skipped unless you're double dutching. Dip in my writtens and sit in the smolder while I knock a ripple chip block off my shoulder. Wanna see my little bag of tricks wreak havoc and crawl up the walls in a reverse schematic? Just one dose and you'll end up an addict. This makes people hop like rabbits. Ever seen a routine form from a habit? Then straight flip when you just can't have it. Just one dose and you'll end up an addict. I make people hop like rabbits. Once you think you need it, you'll repeat it.
Not necessarily.
Every time you get it, you'll regret it.
Shut up.
Now that you buy it, it starts to eat your wallet.
Then just don't pay for it.
Duh. Once you think you need it, you repeat it.
No, you won't.
Every time you get it, you regret it.
I don't know about that.
Now that you bought it, it starts to eat your wallet.
Getting high.
Back from the market, just past the tar pit. Crashed on my bike, hitchhiked on a starship. They built a whole city out of rock and roll art flicks. Even got the mannequin soundtrack part mixed. I would've finished, but I ran out of Elmer's. Could've yelled nurse, but I'd rather go to hell first. What smells worse than a burnt cerebellum? Your head on a curb with a half-split melon. I sense foul play 8 balls later. You're still on my plate, so I'll swing with the saber. Cut from the majors, now go hit the bleachers. Stack so sick I transmit hay fevers, leading to sneezing and mad cow diseasing. Broken food chain, weak link was a key ring. Peking Doc, nope, too late, I'm broiling ya. Shoot me, you couldn't pop a steel magnolia. Too quick for radar, new level language. Sense out of nonsense, sent in a sandwich. Subway somewhat, sucked through the surface. Welcome to my headspace, taste the disturbance. Wanna see my little bag of tricks wreak havoc and crawl up the walls in a reverse schematic? Just one dose and you'll end up an addict. This makes people hop like rabbits. Ever seen a routine form from a habit? Then straight flip when you just can't have it? Just one dose and you'll end up an addict. I make people hop like rabbits. Once you think you need it, you'll repeat it.
Not necessarily.
Every time you get it, you'll regret it.
Shut up.
Now that you bought it, it starts to eat your wallet.
Then just don't pay for it.
Duh. Once you think you need it, you repeat it.
No, you won't.
Every My mind is sour politics at its highest power. Canada's answer to France's Eiffel Tower. Man, not idle, flowered, bridal shower. Just visiting thoughts and Rigel, slaying rivals. With liquid data, 8 files, away files, lay miles apart, scattered. Somewhere between here and Saturn, turn around and spilled. I project my depths to the depths of the molecules, electromagnetic composites of diabolical chronicles.
Cataloging follicles and files of forensics, contend with the evidence of missing appendages. Send out the sentences straight from the crime scene, frozen to deep freeze, deer in a high beam. Ball peen, mallet will knock out a tooth or two. What I can do to you ain't bondage, it's super glue. Stick to my tools through the metamorphosis. Knock your lips to your asshole, now you're really talking shit.
My trademark reflex, release brigaded legions, iterative leeches, attacking invaded beaches. Immaculate achievements and evacuation of phonics, emancipation of heathens I've masticated on onset.
Cut you down verbally like I'm crushing vertebrae. Drop bombs from the heavens and it's time to flush the world away. More to say, we ain't ish in the greatest scheme of things. I got genes, means to an end and reasoning.
The flows alone have rows of foes collapsed in conduits. Psychosomatic bondages bow to recorded voltages. While melting thoughts and smelter pots of molten obelisks.
Feline and rodent as you're prowling for blow. Shit floats like duck droppings with the foulest flow. Disembowel the foe and uses intestine to spell my verse in cursive while he gurgles his best line.
Transmitted through eyelids at rates of light lumens. Visions being conceived in dreams of C.S. Lewis. Exists within a physical form, a block view. No lying, you won't know which wardrobe I walked through.
I am in a mist, spit with a noxious list. Twisted up bandages encased in a sarcophagus. Not at risk of parting with earthly belongings. Concoct the myth of unearthing an anomaly.
As morbid grunts echo throughout the bordellos, this orgy hunts fellows with strings of war cellos. Left guarded by statues carved of hard aspen, clasped in carved caskets, flags at half-mast flips.
As Afghan marsupials with dilated pupils hurl feces at humans and can't grasp our scruples. As fruitful as bull balls unleashed on the livestock and flourish like pollen in pastures of lilac.
How does one prepare for the drama? Who knows, man? This is a neck throbber. Just get down with the 1, 2s to the 3s to the 4s and all that ish. Walking in the shadow of an inverted staircase, horizontal in an up and down airspace. In the tremors of a fair shake, I assemble with the benders at the start of XY, attempting a slice, hunger of terror. I can feel it in my viscera, churning, indigestion of a missed era early. Deep fried thought to a point left the center. The first ring of the loop is a trick hoop. Heretics like heretic swoop. People take parasites troop through. Elusive, I build do's and ruse and no blueprints. Influence on the line of absorption can get chained to its own point of origin. You wanna rut, look up and find 4 of them. Ain't nothing new but a noose in a tour van. Forget it, Hoover, man. I sell a truer brand that never blew a grand. Rather hover fluid land. Reinvest in specific linguistic equipment. The only thing between is distance. Classify my business as whiz kid that don't take long walks on top of tiered instance. Instead, instance of offensive plans to re-bridge the chasm of attention spans. Building, nailing, constructing, deducting, to the point where everything I have created is a direct reflection of efforts put in.
It was a drunken labyrinth of a garden gone wild.
Peep the mole cracker, plaster Paris peeled, the loose nut that stripped up on the Ferris wheel. An amusement catastrophe, fair and sealed. Spectacle smash, a vision to a barren field. Even with apparent shields unpreventable. My clock strikes miscellaneous to general. Swiss precisions never miss collisions. One split decision, spin off to switch divisions. Unpredicted even at $1.99 a minute. I inhibit, kick and dig divots. skip gimmicks, stop and stick spigots, start spitting, dropping carved rivets. It's too ill for marks and mark mimics. On point like pins and car hinges. From the far fringes comes the carcinogen. Pickling idiots pink like jarred ginger. Back to the intro, the staircase of limbo. Poltergeist stalk as eyes chase the symbols. Speak at it, turn your face, breaks the spindles. Wake up in a brace, the face chained to windmills. Oblivious to law, I run through barriers. Without jury, judge, or hung barristers. No court to whip my lung areas. Skip town to sail with drunk mariners. Keep my brain throbbing at 110 knots per noggin. Drunk from problems, drop the goblet into Sodom and Gomorrah. Plus the horror, kiss the flora, trust the fauna, just demonic, lust the phonics, hunt for bondage, thrust upon us, mustard sonnets, rush the gauntlet, stuck the concept, stuffed in faucets, flush the space and crush the comic, dust in comics.
Where am I? Still Earth. You ever go through a situation where it seems like no matter where you are, you're exactly where you started, except you just keep getting lost, and then when you start to move in a direction, you're wondering, are you moving extra fast or is everyone moving extra slow? And then suddenly it's like, oh, maybe people are walking backwards and I'm walking forwards, and then you realize that therefore things are as they are not what is.
My line of reason is no straight embellishment. It corkscrews like grapevines and trellises, and forks out to 8 points of emphasis, where each strikes to ignite a renaissance. Now as the vapor dissolves, where the image starts, live gods and beatboxing minotaurs, all crowd to speak loud of inner thoughts, and make waves like white cranes on rippled ponds. I'm sick of kids that act like little wimps, think they're sick but don't know who they're riffing with. Start flipping lips and get ripped to invalids, tripping while they spit like hypocrites with crippled hips. Back to my fickle caliper position, set point on measurement of maladjusted districts, dysfunctional foliage and foliage of misprints, swinging through wild lines and jungles of gibberish. I aim for addictive product like Philip Morris, naming victims in the corners of the village forest. A truthosaurus comparison to a ruthless warrior. Word association disassociated from orders of laid mortar, brick to brick border, beyond a watchtower in forms of subtle torture. Fully evolved, I solve my own queries, no longer cloned to forms of child rearing. Ever seen a rose corrode to dust allergies simply for the fact that stems enjoy tragedy? Watching a world of sound employ fallacy, substituting anything real for coy flattery. Ever seen a rose corrode to dust allergies simply for the fact that stems enjoy tragedy? Watching a world of sound employ fallacy, substituting anything real for coy flattery. Unhinged.
Illness.
Everywhere I turn, I'm seeing carbon copy crap. Pop sensations that wanna be hard with soft attacks. Can't you see? Those manuscripts are manufactured like figure skating, cause all that ice is just an act. I'm electricity concurrent when I'm rushed to wax, or like a sky train, cause y'all can't even touch my tracks. An individual, original in every aspect, not a formula but studied like a math test. These lyrics forklift, move it up a level higher. Precision splice when ripping mice can sever fire. The revolution ain't being televised now either, except the intent from that statement to what I meant is now expired. Lyricism was never in a regression, it just depends on what end of the spectrum lies your perception. Do you prefer the stimulation or the trash? Lost like pitch black, no map and 8 paths. This is a classic. This is a classic example. This is a classic example of an elevated form of express message without dumbing down the language. This is a classic. This is a classic example. This is a classic example of an elevated form of express message without dumbing down the language. Keeping it real in life and leaving your mark on mics is all about diversity. People of different types, reaching a lifted height and seeing a different sight, and leaving a show at night and thinking, damn, that shit was hype. I write these lines to redefine your comfortabilities with preferred soliloquies on concerto melodies, articulated adjectives replacing play obscenities.
More fancy talk.
Word up.
This world is moving at a rate that's so advanced, it's hard to even focus, yet stuck inside a stalemate. It's how it seems that everything is smoke and mirrors set, composed of an illusion. Can it be broken, or am I by myself on this? Think, yes, avoid the indoctrination of double-speaking politics with underlying motives. This is a classic. This is a classic example. This is a classic example elevated form of express message without dumbing down the language. This is a classic. This is a classic example. This is a classic example of an elevated form of express message without dumbing down the language. All you commercial ticks need to learn to dress. You ain't gonna find my ass in plastic pants and a turtleneck. In hip-hop, you gotta earn respect. Physically work to death before you ever burn a check. You want the dues I paid in debt to date, then surf the net. Or if you prefer to test and you get left a murdered rep, I'm about to turn professional and serve the world a breath of freshness, so all the heads will know they heard of Chex. How do you end a crescendo that's so eventful it's hard to even remember a specific point I sent to you? Like I assembled a temple of knowledge and simple analogies that complements the composition it blends into. I hope you're sensing my sentences as something sent from a sensory beyond what the average rapper constitutes, and incidentally begin to intentionally analyze the complexity of everything I contribute. Cause like I said, we're bombarded with hypocrisy, creating idols of false prophets and mockeries. Do we chalk it up to victims of marketing? Or just a bullseye of corporation targeting? I'll admit that once you start it can be startling to realize the depth of all the artists that they're martyring. Follow the course I'm chartering, it may be hard to think, but eventually we'll take it back to the art of kings. Stretching forward to reflection, I'd say that I gain momentum from forces of pyrotechnics, yet still composing messages enrolled in codes of ethics that elevate coherent threshold levels to majestic. The time that I've invested, I spent perfecting methods, the only real objective consecutive, breaking templates. The aim always original, yet anything but predictable, to turn a palette mixed out of my thoughts into a ritual. So let me be the vehicle to go beyond the feasible and take that access point throughout the intersect of mirrored view, forging a clearer route. My void is veering news, a space existent where time is not a consistent truth. The face of science is only evasive guidance, when standing at the brink of breaking apricot horizons, like chasing flocks of virus through fiber optic highways. It's hard to trace a path without a map or compass pilot, swerving in lost alignment, incurring the cost of mileage. The world stays riding blindly on the backs of toxic tyrants, unicycles on moving sidewalks, population peddling. Masses either turn to God or vices of heredity, subject to the curse of law, confused to who's the enemy. I work the bolt and search the vault for any real serenity. I see the ghost ahead of me, without existing remedy. The course of every human ends an entity left to energy light.